So now we're going to go for a lower, wider bowl, and we're going to center our clay a little bit differently for a lower, wider piece. My brother, I made some of these per request for my brother because he likes very wide cereal bowls. But I'm going to go ahead and center this down and wide because I'm going to need support for that low horizontal curve that I'm going to put into this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in, stop, measure for thickness. Again, I like a pretty thick foot so that thick chunk of clay at the bottom of my bowls. I intend to trim a nice foot on the bottom of it. I'm going to open up with a sweeping curve. And this is going to be, almost flat down here because of the nature of the shape that I'm going to go for. Go ahead and compress that curve down there. Make sure it's really nicely packed down. Nothing like having an S-crack on a bowl that you've spent a lot of time on. Just going to do one last swipe there. Alright, so now we're going to collar it in a little bit. My rim was like a quarter the size of everything else, so I'm going to go ahead and thicken that up. And now I'm going to scoop some of this clay and do a lift. My rim is kind of funky, so I'm going to clean that up. Come down and get some of that clay underneath there. Keeping my rim a little bit thicker than my walls all the time. The very top is a little bit thicker. Okay, so now I've got a slightly wider cylinder, or actually I call it a flower pot shape. I'm going to, before I go into shaping, remember to scrape the water off the outside. Take off your skirt. This is why I never wear a skirt to class. And don't worry about those guys. Just sort of rest your knife up against it and scoop them off. And it's fine. Alright, so now it's shaping time. And we grab a clean rib. I like a non-flexible rib. I do sometimes make bowls with flexible ribs, but I always wish I had a non-flexible rib when I make it. So I'm going to start, bring the rim out, and go down a little ways. I want this fairly wide, so I'm going to go ahead and start bringing it out wide. I'm going to dive in, bring that rim out a little bit further. Okay, so now we have to determine the curve. If you'll notice, I've left this wall straight up and down until I have my rim. This part's nice and steep until I have my rim almost to where I want my finished rim to be. I don't want this curve down here until I have it out because the clay is not going to support the force it needs to take to move that out. So now I'm going to go all the way to the center there. And now I'm going to switch the direction I move with my tool. It's up to you which hand you want to use. When I'm going from top to bottom, I like my right hand. When I'm going from bottom to top, I like my left hand. That's probably just a quirk of me. I don't know that it's necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and put that curve down there and come up to my rim. And then do one last little fine tuning here with my finger. And then it's rim time. Grab your leather. And do I want this a simple, rounded rim? Do I want it a little flatter and, square? Or do I want to pull it over just a hair like so? And I think that's what I want. Pull it over just a hair. And now we've got, maybe I'll put a little line here, do something interesting with glaze. That's a little sharp. And yeah, I don't necessarily like that gooper down there, so I'm going to get rid of that. And we have a lower, wider bowl. And I would clean up this rough edge when it's leather hard, not while it's goopy wet. All right?
Stop.